There are some children who never really got to be children. They smiled too early, carried responsibilities too heavy for their age, and learned lessons that were never meant for them to face so soon. This is the story and the psychology of a child who grew up too fast. 1. The lost childhood. When a child is forced to grow up early, it often begins quietly. Maybe their parents were struggling. Maybe one of them left. Maybe the world around them was too loud, too unstable, too demanding. In that chaos, the child learns something most kids never do: that love can disappear, and safety is something you have to create for yourself. They start cleaning up after adults, calming their parents during fights, or taking care of siblings. They become the responsible one. Everyone praises them. You're so mature for your age. But behind that praise hides a quiet tragedy. They're losing something they'll never get back: their innocence. 2. The birth of the inner adult. Inside every child, there should be a sense of freedom to make mistakes, to laugh, to dream. But when you grow up too fast, that freedom is replaced by control. The mind learns to predict danger, to read emotions, to stay alert. Psychologists call this hypervigilance, always being on guard, even when there's no threat. For this child, it becomes a habit. They stop asking for help because they've learned that help never comes. They start solving problems alone. By the time they reach teenage years, they're already experts in survival, but strangers to peace. They can handle almost anything, except love, because love feels uncertain, and uncertainty reminds them of pain. 3. The weight of responsibility. Have you ever met someone who says, "I hate depending on others," or someone who always says, "I'm fine," even when they're breaking inside? Chances are, that's someone who grew up too fast. As a child, they carried emotions too heavy for their small shoulders. They became the caretaker, emotionally, mentally, sometimes even financially. This creates what psychologists call parentification, when a child takes on the role of a parent before they're ready. It looks noble from the outside: a child helping around the house, calming a sad parent, taking care of younger siblings. But inside, it's draining their emotional energy. They never learned what it feels like to be taken care of. So, as adults, they struggle to trust others because deep down, they believe that love always comes with a cost. 4. The adult child. When this child finally grows up, they appear strong. They're independent, organized, often successful. People look at them and say, "You're so stable, so mature." But at night, when the world gets quiet, there's a small voice inside that whispers, "When do I get to rest?" They might overthink everything. They might feel uncomfortable when things are peaceful because peace feels unfamiliar. And the saddest part, they might not even know how to play anymore. They forgot what joy feels like without guilt. This is what happens when childhood becomes a battlefield. Even in adulthood, the soldier never puts down their armor. 5. Relationships and emotional walls. Growing up too fast leaves invisible scars. When these children become adults, they struggle in relationships. They want connection, but fear vulnerability. They crave love, but expect it to end. So they build walls. They hide their feelings behind logic and strength. They become fixers, always trying to save others, because deep down, saving others feels safer than saving themselves. If someone tries to get close, they might pull away, not because they don't care, but because closeness reminds them of the pain of losing control. Love becomes a mirror that reflects every wound they've buried for years. 6. The psychology behind it. Psychologically, children who grow up too fast often develop a pattern known as emotional suppression. They disconnect from their feelings because those emotions once felt dangerous or useless. Over time, they develop anxiety, perfectionism, and self-blame. They believe that if they do everything right, no one will leave, no one will get hurt. But that belief is built on a lie, that they're responsible for the happiness of others. And that's where healing begins. When they finally realize it was never their job to fix everyone, it was never their fault. 7. The healing process. Healing for someone who grew up too fast doesn't mean becoming childish. It means reconnecting with the child that never got to exist. It means learning to rest without guilt, to cry without shame, to play without fear. It's allowing yourself to say, I don't have to be strong all the time. It's trusting that someone can love you, not for what you do, but for who you are. Therapists often say you can't rewrite your past, but you can reparent your inner child. That means giving yourself the care, safety, and love you were denied. It means learning that it's okay to need others sometimes. 8. The beauty in survival. But here's the paradox. Children who grow up too fast often become incredibly empathetic adults. They understand pain deeply. They know how to listen. They notice what others ignore. Their strength, though born from struggle, becomes their greatest gift. They can turn their pain into compassion. Their story becomes a bridge that helps others heal. So yes, they lost something, their childhood, but they also gained something powerful, a heart that understands the meaning of resilience. 9. Closing thoughts. If you ever meet someone who grew up too fast, don't just admire their strength. Understand their silence. Behind that smile might be a child who never got to rest. And if you are that person, this is your reminder. You don't have to keep proving your worth. You don't have to hold everything together anymore. You survived, and now you deserve to live. Sometimes healing doesn't mean becoming someone new. It means finally feeling safe enough to be who you always were, before the world told you to grow up too fast.